democracy system. No, I must place the union in proper perspective for people to understand.
Hello and welcome to the program. I am DEJI360. Now, the controversial issue of pension for former state governors in Nigeria is seriously trending at the moment. No thanks, of course, to the ongoing trial of Senate President Bukola Saraki at the Code of Conduct Tribunal. A prosecution witness who works for Nigeria's anti-graft agency, the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, told the tribunal last Wednesday that Senate President Bukola Saraki continued to receive salaries and pensions for 4 years after leaving office as governor of Kwara State on May the 29th, 2011. Saraki, as you must know by now, is facing a 13-count charge of false asset declaration and other financial misappropriation at the Code of Conduct Tribunal. Now, testifying against the Senate President, the witness said the EFCC demanded details of Saraki's salary account during investigations and discovered that he received regular salaries after the expiration of his tenure on May the 29th, 2011. According to the prosecution witness, the Senate President's salary for June was 291,412 naira 75 kobo, while that of July, August, and September were 572 naira 286 naira 32 kobo, 744,000 naira, and 743,942 naira respectively. He says Saraki also received the sums of 1,165,488 naira between the months of October and February 2012, adding that the Senate President received his salaries and pensions regularly till August the 31st, 2015, before the payment stopped. The Kwara State government has, of course, issued a statement that all the monies Mr. Saraki got was his pension and not salary. Well, that statement in itself is generating another round of controversy. Joining me right now to discuss this, of course, is lawyer and political analyst Liberos Oshoma. Liberos, thank you very much for coming on the program. First is the Kwara State government came out to say what Saraki was getting was pension and not salary, because the EFCC, the prosecution witness now actually made it case clear that what he was actually getting was not just his salary, but that he was getting his pension as well, and even gave details of the amount he got. And of course, the witness said they discovered these after investigating Saraki and after Saraki himself had submitted his salary accounts to the EFCC. But now the state government, the Kwara State government now saying what Saraki actually got all those times was his pension.
It's quite unfortunate that we'll sit back here. The state government will sit back, look at the entire Nigerians in the face and try to, hoodwink them. While the EFCC, was detailed in its investigation, you saw how the monies paid reflected. And the question people had asked is, what is the basic salary, and if it reflected, and what is his pension? And all of these are reflected in the account as tendered by the FCC, at the Code of Conduct Tribunal. And the blanket statement credited to the Kwara State government that all the monies paid. When the Kwara State government, I expected them also to detail it, give us a breakdown of the fact that, okay, this was his pension, and this was the way it was paid. And be that as it may, I think also they didn't avert their mind to the fact, to paragraph 4, 1 and 2 of the fifth schedule, part 1 of the fifth schedule of the 1999 Constitution, talking about the Code of Conduct for public office holders. And what that section simply says is that you cannot draw pension, while you are still while you're collecting remuneration from, government services. The intendment of that section, basically is to discourage a situation where you are already drawing pension from government coffers, and then you get an appointment,
with
like
government.
a political appointment. Mind you, all of them, some people initially tend to create a dichotomy between civil service and political office holders. But it's been ruled by the court that, all of them are public service, whether the civil service or whether political appointment. And so the intent of that section is to discourage situations like this, where you'll be drawing pension from government, because pension also is, in a way, is remuneration.
It is.
And then also at the same time, you have an appointment with government, you're drawing remuneration, salary from the same government. What it means is you would be collecting two salaries from the same source.
So basically,
And
what we're trying to say is that
the state government forgot the fact that Saraki from 2011
became a
till
senator.
date became a senator. And so by virtue of that section was not entitled to be drawing pension from, it's a breach of code of conduct to draw pension from the coffers.
And the
of the
EFCC
state
witness
government.
actually talked about both pension and salary. Anyway, that's it. But I just want to get this correctly so that our audience can actually understand that you're saying it was improper for the state government to have been paying Saraki pension while he was still in the Senate and drawing salary as a senator. So what you're basically saying is that the intentment of that section of the Constitution you quoted was that the moment he became a senator, his pension ought to have been stopped until
Suspended.
after he
Yes,
left
the
the Senate.
pension
Right?
ought to have been suspended until he's no longer a senator, because you cannot draw remuneration, cannot draw pension and remuneration from the same government. So what happened was the fact that Saraki was drawing pension from Kwara state government under the Federal Republic of Nigeria, and at the same time was drawing salaries and allowances from the same Federal Republic of Nigeria. And so the intendment is the Constitution that governs both the office of the governor and both the office of the senator. And so it is that section, paragraph 4, sub 1 and 2 of the part 1 of the 5th schedule that governs, all of this. And so I think the government, the Kwara state government, did not, while they were issuing that statement, they were so much in a hurry to defend their godfather that they did not avert their mind to the fact that ordinarily this ought not to be the practice.
Where I think you may have a serious point here is that the secretary to the Kwara state government, who actually made that announcement, confirmed that yes, Saraki was drawing the salary, but that when he became president of the Senate, drawing the pension, now when he became president of the Senate, they stopped. So the question is, why did they stop when he became Senate president and not stop when he became a senator?
Exactly, because there's basically no difference.
Meaning they probably understood or discovered the law and just decided.
When Saraki as a Senate, for you to be a Senate president, you must be a senator. And the office of the Senate president is first among equals. It does not distinguish him from, a senator, a normal senator. He's the head of the Senate.
Yeah.
And so, if you say it was at the point he became the Senate president, the question is, why did you stop at the point when he became Senate president? Is it that at the point he became Senate president, it suddenly dawned on you that, oh no, this man cannot draw salary twice? Or at the point he became Senate president, that is when you knew that he's now occupying a public office, and that when he was a senator, an honorary senator, it wasn't a public office. So I think that statement was made in a hurry, but like
quite contradictory, if you ask me.
Yes, very, very, like they say, he who the gods want to kill, they first make mad. And so there is what is happening here, it's, I see a lot of confusion here. And because somebody is so much in a hurry to quickly, put up a defense, whether valid defense or not, they really didn't look at the provisions of the law. But this is not about Saraki alone. You have about 21.
Yeah, I was just going to say exactly several of them, about 21 or so former governors in the Senate now. And there's also a chance and a possibility that they could be drawing their pension from their states as well.
Yes, because of the brand of politics that we practice in Nigeria, I will not sit down here and say it is not possible. Because if you look at the pension laws from the various states.
We're surely going to talk about the pensions.
And what these former governors allocate to themselves, all in the name of pension, and the fact that they have turned the Senate to retirement home for former governors, I would want to believe. And then also, when you hear them say the oil political machineries, you wonder where does this oil and what does it mean? Oily political machinery simply means using funds to buy patronage. And so where does this fund come from? It is some of these sources that these funds come from. And mind you, some of them still play the role of godfathers in their various states. So it will not be out of place if you hear that almost all of them are drawing pensions and drawing salaries at the same time.
So this could be more serious than we all think. I
Yes,
mean, because
yes.
there's the possibility that these former governors, including former governors who are in the Senate, even those of them who are also in the executive, who are ministers, there's a chance that they might be drawing pension from their state
because
governments.
if you look at the way some of the pension laws were made, they were made to benefit, the governors.
Absolutely.
And so if these governors, put up these laws so that they will drop benefit from them, and some of them are senators now, some of them are ministers, it is obvious that definitely they will be drawing pension. And it is the interesting part of it here now is that, Saraki is in the eye of the storm. And since Saraki is in the eye of the storm, all of these revelations are coming out. And so it will be difficult for some of these people to all now come out and say no and defend Saraki and say no, that is not the position of things. What might likely happen is some of them that were drawing pension might stop from the moment the revelation is out now, will want to stop like Saraki stopped in August 2015, would want to stop. And if this government or EFCC is bold enough to look into the books of most of these past governors, the revelation might just be overwhelming.
So basically, for you think this should open some kind of Pandora's box, whether we like it or not, that you would expect the EFCC to begin to investigate, find out if these governors who are in the Senate are actually drawing pension from their various
If we
states.
truly want to fight corruption, I want to use a few good heads. Permit me to use our few good heads, because we see these people as distinguished, so I will label them good heads. So if we want to use a few good heads as example, this clearly will be an opportunity for us to begin to look, into the affairs and details. Very simple. Breach of code of conduct.
Do you think, this could just be an innocent oversight, if you like?
It might be, but in the same
and for
vein,
all the governors, that there's a possibility that the entire state and even the attorney generals did not even know that that section of the Constitution exists.
It might be an innocent oversight, but knowing Nigerians for what they are, whether innocent or not, you don't expect 36 states of the Federation and everybody, including the Federal Attorney General, everybody will just close their eyes to a section as vibrant as we are when it comes to legal matters. You remember the case of Kogi. Almost every Nigerian, became a lawyer, profiling solutions. So I would not, I am telling you, and so I would not want to say that everybody, all the attorney generals, including lawyers in the Federation, will just close their eyes to the fact that, look, this is the provision of the law, and then they encourage past governors to go ahead and draw pensions, even when you are still occupying public office. In the case of Saraki, to tell you how much of impunity this had become, that to the extent that he was drawing salaries. And at the same time drawing pension. And also drawing salaries as a senator of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. And so it is God, all of these are good for us, so that we know the kind of leaders that we have. What we now do with the information thereafter, our reaction to all of this revelation, it's a different ball game. Whether we'll still allow them to divide us along ethnic and party lines, to say, oh, it is not only Saraki, if you must prosecute him, prosecute others. Because I have heard that argument also from some persons. If you must prosecute Saraki, prosecute others. Why I'm happy, and I like the fact that, yes, Saraki is in the eye of the storm, I would also want to see a situation where others will join the fray. But I cannot honestly say, oh, because it is Saraki, others must go. Saraki's cup is full now. Others' own is probably, brewing. And someday, some other persons also might follow.
All right. Now, because we talked about the pension. This is still about the pension of Saraki, and you know, there's no question at all that this is not the first time we would be hearing about the pension of our former governors. As a matter of fact, sometime in 2014, we discussed the issue of pension for former governors of Nigeria. At the time, the then Akwa Ibom State Governor, Godswill Akpabio, who is now the Senate Minority Leader, had just passed a controversial pension law which granted generous benefits to former governors of that state. Akpabio passed the law, of course, just as he was about to leave office, and the general impression at the time was that he passed the law to benefit himself. Anyway, let me show you some highlights of our program then, capturing the pension of former governors in Akwa Ibom State. And of course, when we come back, we'll take a look at that of Lagos and Kwara states respectively. But take a look at that of Akwa Ibom State and the controversy it brewed back then. That was in 2014. Let's take a look at that. Now, why is the new pension law generating a lot of controversy? We just want to take you through some of the reasons why it is generating a lot of controversy. As we speak, the governor of that state, Godswill Akpabio, has passed the bill into law. As a matter of fact, it didn't take time at all to pass that bill. Let's just run you through some of the process. Now, it actually took a very short time. As a matter of fact, about 13 days to pass the bill. That's from the making of the bill up to the passage of the bill. Now, let us look at what the controversial pension scheme now, pension for the governor and of course his deputy contains. First, you have, it says, that is when the governor leaves office. Now, by the way, you should know that. Now, the bill says that the governor must get a mansion, a 5-bedroom, of course, house, a mansion either in Abuja or Akwa Ibom State. He gets a new official car once every 4 years. The governor also gets a utility vehicles once every 4 years. He gets a personal aid, adequate security for his person, and then the governor gets 26,684,460 naira annually. That's his annual pension for life. So at the end of every year, of course, that is broken down into 12 months. And when you break that down into 12 months, you're getting 2-point-something million naira. So the governor collects 26.6 million naira as his annual pension for life. The deputy governor gets 25.3 million naira as his annual pension for life, whoever the deputy governor is. And then the governor also gets 5 million naira for cook, chauffeur, and of course security guards. 5 million naira. And some people have been questioning that because they say, how much exactly would the cook and these other guys collect? I mean, that's just up for debate. And the governor gets 2 million naira for cook, chauffeurs, and of course security guards. Now, that's not all. Let's continue. The governor and the spouse gets 100 million naira for medical services annually. Now, that is generating a lot of controversy. What about the deputy governor? What does she get, or what does he get? By the way, the current deputy governor of the state, I think, is a female. I'm not so sure. The deputy governor and the spouse gets 30 million naira for medical services annually. Now, the governor's wife gets 12 million naira allowance if she survives the husband. Now, what that basically means is that if a former governor dies, that's the governor has left office, because this is the benefits, the pension benefits of a former governor of Akwa Ibom State. So if the governor, for instance, dies and the wife survives him, what the governor's wife gets is 12 million naira allowance annually. And then apart from that, there's 300% furniture allowance, 300% vehicle maintenance and fueling, 100% yearly utility, 100% entertainment allowance, of course, and then something wrong with that spelling there. And then you have the state now is to bear the costs of ex-governor's funeral. So if a former governor dies, the state takes responsibility for the funeral. Now, condolence allowance is also given to the next of kin, which is the equivalent of the governor's salary. And of course, security guards are also given to the next of kin. Now, how long did it take to pass this bill? It took just 13 days, as I said earlier. The bill was actually sent by the governor May 15th, 2014. The House, that's the clerk of the House, now confirms receipt May 19th, 2014. Bill was passed 26th of May, 2014. The governor gave his assent May 28, 2014, and no public hearing was held. Well, that was back in 2014. I mean, looking at the controversial pension law introduced by the governor at the time. That's Godswill Akpabio. Akpabio, by the way, is now in the Senate. He is the Senate minority leader. The question we ask is he drawing his pension as we speak from the state government? If he's doing that, then what about that section of the Constitution that should have prevented that? Because if the Saraki case had actually not come up, we would probably not have known. But that is exactly what a former governor and deputy governor of Akwa Ibom State would or is entitled to. So that's exactly what Akpabio is earning. We don't know if he's drawing that now or whether we have to wait until he leaves the Senate. But, you know, that is, we just have to investigate that. But there's a chance that some of these former governors who are in the Senate now are actually drawing that pension from their state government, considering what we have seen in the case of the former governor of Kwara State and, of course, the current Senate President, Bukola Saraki. Anyway, also, at that time, we did not just look at the situation with Akwa Ibom State. We also took a look at, well, the pension law of Kwara State and, of course, Lagos State back then. Now, back then, Saraki, of course, was governor, and he passed his own controversial pension law, and I think he is also benefiting from that law. Now, I mean, considering what has actually come of that, he's actually drawing his pension from the state even after he's become a senator. Now, we took a look at the pension law of the Kwara State government as well as that of Lagos State government. Take a look. Let's take a look at another state, Kwara State. Let's take a look. What exactly does it... Now, the law was actually reviewed in 2010 by then Governor Bukola Saraki, who, of course, is a senator now. He's in the Senate and, of course, drawing salary. Now, what does it provide? It provides for pension, life pension, or it equivalent now. No? Pension for life equivalent to the incumbent salary. So whatever the current governor is earning is what the former governor, Governor Bukola Saraki, would be earning as his pension every month. And then it says the governor is entitled to a total of 5 cars. Sorry, it should be 5 cars altogether to be replaceable every 3 years. So among these 5 cars, you have utility vehicles and the others. Then he's also entitled to a well-furnished 5-bedroom duplex. He should get furniture allowance, 300% of his salary every 2 years. He should have domestic 5 domestic staff. These 5 domestic staff now should be pensionable. Then he should have 8 policemen, 3 SSS operatives, one of which must be a female. For governor, of course, there's free medicals for governor, deputy governor, and their families. Now there's no cap. It just says free medicals. Now, how much will this be? We do not know. And he gets a 30-day annual vacation abroad with a 30-day ESTA code. So if the governor was traveling, former Governor Bukola Saraki, for instance, if he was to travel abroad, he's entitled to get a 30-day vacation with 30-day ESTA codes. Remember, he's a senator. He also gets a car maintenance allowance, which is will be 30% of his salary. Utilities, 20% of his salary. Entertainment, 10% of salary. House maintenance, of course, that same house that the state government would provide for him, the state government will have to maintain it, 10% of his salary. And who are the current beneficiaries? Of course, we have Senators Saraki and Lafiaji. Both of them are drawing. They are actually enjoying that pension as we speak. Now, of course, there's been some kind of reaction. Rex Olawoye, who is the PDP spokesman in Kwara State, here's his reaction. He said, a careful calculation of what Mr. Saraki has received both in cash and kind from the sweat of the poor people of Kwara State has revealed a pension benefit that has run into over 3 billion naira in the last 3 years, in addition to millions of naira he draws monthly as a senator representing the same state. Now, we decided to take a look at one other state. That's a state where we are, Lagos State. And you wouldn't believe it. I would say we found it to be probably the most controversial or probably the worst because, as a matter of fact, the provisions, I would say the provisions are even far higher than what is contained in that of Akwa Ibom State. Now, should Governor Babatunde Fashola, of course, as we know, he'll be leaving office in 2015. So when he leaves office, what is he supposed to get? Remember, you have former Governor Bola Tinubu, so it means he's enjoying all of this. Now, this is what if Governor Babatunde Fashola leaves office today, this is what he'll be getting. 100% annual basic salary now of incumbent salary for life. So whatever the current governor is earning is what he would be getting, which is 100%. He's going to get that for life. The governor gets 6 new cars every 3 years. I mean, at that rate, you would say, well, the governor may soon become a car dealer, because if you get 6 cars every 3 years, do the calculation yourself. Over the course of, say, 12 years, he would have a lot of cars to sell. Then the deputy governor gets 5 cars every 3 years, and a house. The governor now, this is for the governor. The governor gets a house in Lagos and 1 in Abuja. And what does the deputy governor get? The deputy governor gets 1 house in Lagos only. Now, the governor and, of course, the deputy governor and their family are entitled to free medical health care, and their family, free medical health care. Now, for life. There's no cap. There's no provision. It could be 10 million. It could be 5 million. It could be 100 million, 200. No cap at all. Now, there's also provision for cook, steward, gardener, and other domestic staff. All of them pensionable for the governor. And furniture allowance, he gets 300% of annual basic salary every 2 years. House maintenance is 10% of annual basic salary. The governor's security, well, the governor is entitled, the former governor now, he is entitled to 2 SSS operatives, or 1, of course, a female officer, and then 8 policemen. Now, imagine how many policemen we have in this country. Now, you have these former governors getting 8 of them. 8, just to protect them. Then you can imagine how many policemen would have left to protect the citizens. The deputy governor now gets, for security now, 1 SSS operative and 2 policemen. Now, the governor gets for PA, 25% of annual basic salary, car maintenance, of course, those 6 cars. 30% of annual basic salary, entertainment 10% of annual basic salary, utility 20% of annual basic salary, and the drivers who will be driving those 6 cars must be pensionable, and there's no limit to the number. And then you have severance benefits. Well, we don't know, but the governor, if Babatunde Fashola leaves office next year, of course, he'll be entitled to a severance benefit. And, you know, as I said, former Governor Bola Tinubu is he's getting this pension. When Babatunde Fashola leaves office, he'd be entitled to all of that. And, well, we do not know if the people of Lagos State were actually consulted, if there was a public hearing for the people of Lagos State to make their own contribution. But we just felt it was necessary to bring all of this to you, so that you know what your former governors are getting, and so that you know what the current governors will be getting when they leave office. Well, that was in 2014. And, of course, as you know, Babatunde Fashola has left office. He's now the Minister for Works, Housing, and he's the Minister for Works, Housing, and Power. And who knows? We do not know if he is actually drawing his pension as we speak. Liberals, I still have you here. Before we even discuss that pension law, it would be shocking if former Governor Fashola, for instance, who is now a minister, if he's actually drawing his pension, right?
Yes, it would be shocking. But apart from the remuneration, the salary, all other benefits, what's the difference between those other benefits and the money itself?
And if those benefits are something there, I want to ask, what the law actually stops is the pension itself, but it doesn't stop the other benefits. Those other benefits.
Even if you remember also, Rivers State had a similar law that threw up, so much controversy, which also was signed during the tail end of the Amechi's tenure. And for me, I see this as robbing using the instrumentality of the law. It's broad daylight robbing, stealing from the people using the instrumentality of the law. You ask yourself, yes, while it is good to draw pension and allowances, but not this kind of 100% salaries, furniture allowance, 6 cars, drivers to be provided, holidays abroad for families, house and ESTA codes, house in Lagos, house in Abuja. And when
you maintain the house,
the civil servants who are the engine room of the service, many of them cannot even collect their pension. And when also government is looking towards contributory pension scheme, What stopped us from having situations where some governors and deputies have contributing pension schemes where at the end of their tenure, those money that have been invested for them can be given back to them, and then they use it for whatever they want to. Mind you, these people still have severance. Severance, no cap. It can be 200 million. It can be anything. And the house that is to be built, no cap. You can build a house of 3 billion naira, provided it's a 5-bedroom. One must be in Lagos, one in Abuja. And then you look at yourself and you look at Nigeria, you look at the country, and you ask yourself, are the people this comfortable to treat public office holders like this? Here we are now going to borrow from China to finance this expensive lifestyle of our public office holders. And then you ask yourself, so if all it takes for me to live a very comfortable life, I can as well just sleep and not work, is to become a former public office holder or former governor. And then for life, I can just be globetrotting around the world at the expense of the state government. This does not encourage hard work. It doesn't encourage hard work at all.
Let's just take a quick break here. When we come back, we're still going to discuss this the pension law now for former governors, because it's actually a problem. There's something we're going to talk about. We'll take a short break and we'll be right back. Every day, every hour, and every minute, news break in Nigeria. Things happen so fast, it's most times difficult to track and comprehend them. But that's what we do right here on DEJI360. 2015, would you want to come back again?
It's like asking Jesus Christ if he knew he was going to die, will you want to come back as the savior of the world again?
We do not just help you track the stories, we break them down, explore all the angles, analyze the issues so that you can fully comprehend the stories and use them to make the right decisions.